What three pieces of equipment would you highly recommend for any studio? Great question, and it's quite a simple one for me to answer. There are three that I would recommend. It is the Trinov, a Flock Audio patch bay, assuming you use analog equipment, and a door controller. So start with the Trinov. The Trinov is basically room correction. No matter how good your room is, a Trinov is going to make it, I was going to say a million times better, but it's going to make it much better. Now, I know this myself because I've got a great room. The room sounds fantastic without the Trinov in, but with the Trinov in, it reassures me that I am bang on accurate. I know myself when listening with the Trinov off and with the Trinov on. I know when I have the Trinov active, I have an exceptional sound coming back from the monitors, especially in Atmos as well. I mean, I always say it is an essential tool when working in Atmos. When you've got 15 speakers, 20 speakers, I've got 15 speakers in here. I need a 16 channel Dante Trinov. And when you've got audio coming from every angle around a room, from the ceiling, from the sides, from the back of the room, from the front of the room, there's going to be phase without a Trinov. The Trinov corrects that. It's perfect. So that's the one thing. Even if you're working in stereo. Now, I've got a stereo studio next door that's got a Trinov ST2 in. And the difference is huge. And it's, for me, what it is with the Trinov is it's reassurance that what you're hearing is bang on accurate. It's correct every time. And it's so important to hear the best audio you possibly can, because what makes the decisions in your studio is your ears. It's you and your ears. Now, if you've got audio coming back to you that is the best it can possibly be, then you're going to make those right decisions. So the Trinov is number one. Flock Audio Patch Bay. Now, assuming you're using analog equipment, the Flock Audio Patch Bay is incredible. What it does for you is it gives you recall. I hate patch bays. I hate them. But the Flock Audio Patch Bay I love because it gives me instant recall of all my analog chains. I can use the Flock as my bypass switch, so I no longer go to any of my units and hit the bypass button on the units. I use the Flock Audio Patch Bay. What this does is it then just disengages the unit. Your unit's no longer in the patch bay. It's the same as if you was to just unpatch it. So that, for that one reason, it's brilliant. Using the DX app is incredible because I can store all my images, all my notes, everything is stored within this app. The Flock Patch Bay is incredible. It really is a time-saving tool. It improves my workflow. It improves my sound because, when I've got audio running through this chain, let's say there's 15 units in this chain, I'm only engaging what I actually want to use. So my chain's shorter. If I don't need to use, let's say I don't need to use, I don't know, the Buzz REQ. I don't need to use that EQ. I'm not using that in the chain. It's out of the chain. It's patched out of the chain. But what's good about the patch bay is that instead of pulling out cables and unpatching things, and then you've got to, next time you load the session, you've got to patch something else in. It's a pain. I hate it. With the Flock Patch Bay, what you're basically doing is it's all internally routed via an app. So you're just literally switching what you want in the chain, moving things around. I love that. I love the instantaneousness of it, and I love that it's just such a time saver. The other one is, the last one is the door controller. Now look, I've got an Avid S4, stupid money, really beneficial for me. Now, when I recommend when I recommend a door controller for a studio, I wouldn't necessarily recommend that unless you're working in a big project studio and you've got a big studio that's doing well. These are 40 grand. It's stupid money for what is essentially a door controller. But for me, it's a huge time saver. I can fly around this console quicker than using a mouse and keyboard. I'm literally, from a business perspective where time is money, I'm so much quicker working on a console rather than working on mouse and keyboard. So, for me, that saves me a hell of a lot of money in the sense of time is money. However, if you're working in like a bedroom studio, anything like that, or you think 40 grand's ridiculous. Look, I think 40 grand's ridiculous for that console, but if you can spend £1,000 on a nice little door controller like a UF8, an Avid S1. All these controllers are essentially like the S1, for instance. That's just a small version of that. The Any door controller that what the huge benefit of a door controller is, it's time saving. It gets you hands on. You work better with your mixing. When you're using a mouse and keyboard, for instance, to change gains, you don't feel what you're doing. You can't feel what you're doing, and trust me, I know this because I've used mouse and keyboard. I haven't used a mouse and keyboard for probably since I was about 18. I got my first door controller, the Command 8. But I've been in studios, lots of studios, where I've had to use a mouse and keyboard, and it's painful for me. When you move to a door controller, you will find that you are going to mix better just by the simple fact of being hands-on, controlling plugins via pots, controlling pans via pots. It's going to make you work a lot more efficiently. It's going to make you work better, and you ultimately are going to get better mixes working with a door controller. So yeah, they are my three. The Trinov for room correction, Flock Audio Patch Bay, assuming you're using analog equipment, massively time saving routing option, and door controller. Those three are my kind of units I would highly recommend getting, or even just considering putting into your studio.